The arena was already alive before the show even reached its peak, but everyone in the building could feel it. Something bigger was coming. Not just another segment, not just another promo, but a moment that had been building through tension, history, and ego. When stepped into the spotlight, the energy shifted instantly. The reaction was loud, raw, and emotional. This wasn't just a return, this was a statement. Fans knew that whenever Punk held a microphone, anything could happen. But on this night, standing across from him was the most dominant figure of the modern era, the tribal chief, the man who had built an empire on dominance, control, and absolute authority. Roman Reigns didn't rush his entrance. He never did. Every step was slow, calculated, and filled with presence. The arena lights dimmed as his music echoed, and the crowd reaction became a mix of awe and tension. Reigns walked to the ring like a king entering his domain, flanked by confidence that had been built over years of dominance. Championships, victories, and loyalty had cemented his position at the top, and in his mind, there was no equal. But tonight felt different. Tonight, there was someone who didn't recognize his authority. The two stood face to face, the atmosphere instantly heavy. No punches were thrown. No physical contact was needed. This was something deeper, a battle of words, presence, and legacy. Punk leaned slightly on the ropes, smirking, completely relaxed. Reigns stood tall, expression cold, eyes locked in. The crowd quieted, knowing the next few minutes would define everything. Roman spoke first. His voice was calm but filled with authority. He reminded everyone who he was, the face of the company, the champion who had carried the industry on his back. He spoke about dominance, about loyalty, about how no one had been able to step up and truly challenge him. His words weren't rushed, they were deliberate, each sentence reinforcing his position at the top. Then he turned to Punk. He questioned Punk's place in this new era. He spoke about time, about evolution, about how the business had moved forward while Punk had been away. It was a calculated attack, not emotional, but strategic. Reigns wasn't just speaking to Punk, he was speaking to the audience, trying to reshape their perception. But Punk didn't react. He didn't interrupt. He didn't show anger. He simply listened, and that silence alone started shifting the energy. The crowd began to murmur, sensing something was coming. Punk finally stepped forward, lifting the microphone slowly, his expression unchanged. And then he spoke. His first words were calm, almost casual, but they carried weight. He didn't shout. He didn't rush. He dissected. Punk acknowledged everything Reigns had said, the dominance, the championships, the control, but then he did something different. He didn't attack the achievements. He attacked the idea behind them. He spoke about authenticity. He questioned whether Reigns' dominance was truly earned or carefully protected. He talked about the difference between being the best and being presented as the best. Every sentence landed harder than the last. The crowd began reacting louder, feeding off every word. Reigns' expression changed slightly, not dramatically, but enough for those watching closely to notice. For the first time, the tribal chief wasn't completely in control of the moment. Punk continued. He shifted from analysis to personal. He spoke about pressure, about expectation, about what it really means to carry an industry. He reminded everyone that before dominance, before titles, before the tribal chief character, there was doubt. There were moments when the audience didn't accept Reigns, when the cheers weren't there. The crowd erupted. This wasn't just a promo anymore, it was reality mixed with storytelling. Punk blurred the lines perfectly, making every word feel personal, every sentence feel real. Reigns tried to interrupt, stepping forward, raising his voice slightly, but Punk didn't stop. That was the turning point. Punk stepped closer, lowering his tone, forcing the audience to listen more carefully. And then came the line, the one that changed everything. The one that didn't need shouting, didn't need exaggeration, because of how precise it was. He told Reigns that dominance without challenge isn't greatness, it's comfort. The arena exploded. Reigns stood still. For a brief moment, there was no response. No comeback. No interruption. Just silence. And that silence said everything. The tribal chief, the man who always had an answer, always had control, had been caught off guard. Not physically, but mentally. Punk had shifted the narrative completely, turning confidence into doubt in front of thousands of fans. Commentary fell quiet, allowing the moment to breathe. The crowd continued reacting, chants echoing throughout the arena. Some cheered Punk, others watched in disbelief, but everyone understood one thing: something had changed. Reigns finally raised the microphone again, but this time, his tone was different. The confidence was still there, but it wasn't untouchable anymore. Punk had forced him into a position he rarely experienced, reacting instead of controlling. The segment didn't end with a fight. It didn't need to, because the real impact had already happened. As Punk stepped back, lowering the microphone, he didn't celebrate. He didn't taunt. He simply looked at Reigns, almost as if to say the message had been delivered. And then he turned, walking away as the crowd erupted once again. Reigns remained in the ring, still, silent, thinking. That image became unforgettable, the dominant champion, left without an immediate answer, forced to process what had just happened in front of the entire world. Social media exploded within minutes. Clips spread across every platform. Fans debated every line, every expression, every second of silence. Analysts broke down the psychology behind the exchange, calling it one of the most powerful promo moments in recent memory. Because it wasn't just about words. It was about control. And for the first time in a long time, Roman Reigns had lost it, not in a match, not physically, but in a moment that mattered just as much. CM Punk didn't need to win a fight that night. He won the moment. He won the crowd. And most importantly, he planted doubt in the mind of a man who had built his entire legacy on being unshakable. That's what made it unforgettable. That's what made it powerful. And that's why fans will remember that night not just as another promo, but as the moment CM Punk stunned Roman Reigns into silence.